I'm a big fan of auditing just life, auditing how things are going. We challenge leaders to audit themselves all the time. And I know that there's been some information out there. I just want to continuously hit on this topic because I believe it's so important and I believe it's so valuable. When it comes to the leadership audit, there are really three categories to audit. One is people, two is clarity, and three is example. Let me walk you through a couple of those and think about this as I'm walking you through this on how are you doing in those areas. Let's start with people. People are the backbone of every organization. Without people, you cannot drive results. Results don't drive people, people drive results. When it comes to people, how are you doing? How are you doing creating strong working relationships? How are you doing creating engagement and creating that opportunity mindset, not an obligation mindset? How are you getting people to walk in the door every single day and say, I get to be here, not I have to be here? That is a big advantage when it comes to people. How are you doing creating fulfillment? Authentically and sincerely, how are you helping people understand that they're appreciated and that they have value and what they do matters? So that's one of the areas that I believe is highly valuable to audit yourself. And I raise my hand. I'm not perfect at it at all. I'm a work in progress every single day. There's somebody on the other side of this camera that can tell you that right now, that I have a long journey to go when it comes to people. Second is clarity. What are we doing every single day to create clarity for our people? What are we doing to create clarity for ourselves? What are some of those things that are working well for us that allow people to understand the direction and the expectations? What are we doing to create clarity for ourselves so we understand what others expect of us? And then what are those areas of opportunity? It's a great opportunity to audit when it comes to clarity and how we're doing to set ourselves up for success. Another area that I have huge improvement on over the years. And I think one of the challenges is for leaders, and I'm just looking in the mirror right now, is I'm not always clear. It's hard to be clear with your people when I'm not always clear. And what I mean by that is I think sometimes I know where I want to go, but maybe tomorrow it's a different direction. Maybe one day I want to go to Denver, maybe next day I want to go to Minneapolis. And so it's sometimes challenging to help with that clarity. But every once in a while, I need to just look in the mirror and audit, how am I doing when it comes to clarity? And I think we all do as leaders. And the last one is example. How are we the example? Not the example in a fake manufactured way. How are we being authentic? How are we being authentic with our communication? How are we being authentic with our expectations? How are we being authentic with just the way that we're feeling and just putting things in the arena and just helping people really understand where we're at and where we're coming from and some of the challenges that we might face? How are we being authentic and being the example to show up and say, it's okay not to know everything and be comfortable sometimes being uncomfortable? Sometimes I think we feel like we have to be this Teflon person. And I'm not saying just that you can create chaos and be a weak person. I'm just saying as a leader, sometimes authenticity really shows up and it really has value for your people because they realize that the world's not always perfect and we're not always perfect. So auditing's a big thing for me right now, and I challenge you to audit yourself in a lot of areas, any area you want to audit, but in people, in clarity, and the example that you're setting every single day. Again, leverage the things that are working, minimize the things that aren't, make those fine tunes and tweaks, and set yourself up for a higher probability of success. Best of luck.